Hot Takes or Toast brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen with 30 years of serving Utah. Question of the morning. Can you pivot? Can you spin on a dime? Last week, BYU fans fully invested in rooting against the Utes. Are BYU fans rooting for the Utes this week? Because many people are saying Colorado's the best team in the Big 12, including the analysts calling the game against Utah.
Joel Klatt.
If the Utes could pull off the big upset in Boulder, give Colorado a second conference loss, alter the conference race, and then we see down the stretch who can stay at 2 losses and win the tiebreaker.
Joel Klatt. Joel Klatt.
Nope. Not related to Joel Embiid.
How do you know? You go back to Adam and Eve.
Aha.
We're all brothers.
There it is.
Brothers under the skin.
It's a big ask for people who don't like Utah to suddenly turn around and start rooting for Utah.
Not at all.
We've seen it so many times. People will cut off their nose to spite their face.
You're not rooting for Utah. You're rooting against Colorado.
You're rooting for Colorado to lose.
And it just so happens that it's the Utes who play them, because that would give you almost just about as close a lock as you can have without a guarantee. Everybody would have minimum 2. Kansas State plays the Devils. They'll lose it.
Somebody will get 3. Yeah.
So you'd be down to 2 teams. You hold the tiebreaker over K-State, so that's 3 games. There's almost no way you wouldn't get in if the Utes can find a way, minus Jalen Glover, to win this ball game. Yeah, I would put on my red hardcore. I love me more than I hate them.
Red. PK and red, head to toe.
Yeah.
All red, all the time.
You can call me Johnny Allred that day if I'm a Cougar. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's about your team, especially because that doesn't really gain the Utes anything.
Tanner, nope. I want to see BYU take the Buffs head on in Arlington and shut Dion and Co. up.
Okay.
This Cougar team's legit. They don't know, but they're about to find out.
But that would not change anything. You could still very well get them. Colorado can lose this game
and still get to
and
Arlington.
very much still get there. Yeah.
They could win the tiebreaker at 7-2 in conference, assuming they win their last 2 games, obviously.
Right.
Ryan, as a BYU fan, I'm rooting for Utah. I root for them every game except when they play BYU. So go Cougs, go Utes. Ryan, very amiable right there.
Me too. I root them for every game except when they play the Cougars. Just can't do it at that game.
Kyle, yes, I'm rooting for them for a change. Been waiting for somebody to quiet the Sanders noise, and since we don't play them, I'll root for everybody else that does.
Well, the Sanders noise, though, I mean, Klatt's a Colorado guy, and I listen to him on your boys' show every Wednesday. Try to get home. Time, watch it live at 11 o'clock. And so I'm watching it yesterday. And, I mean, he just goes nuts on Colorado, and Dion should be coach of the year material, blah, blah, blah. I mean, right now, the D1 teams that they've beaten are combined 29-29. It's not exactly, lighting it up. But it's built on 2 guys that are going to be gone this year.
This is the year. Peak for this year.
So what are they going to do next year? Has he got another kid out there? I mean, what quarterbacks have they recruited that can come in there? So, and they're phenomenal, right? 7-2. They haven't, they've beaten a couple teams with winning records, but overall, their record against teams that they've beaten and the teams they've beaten combined 29-29. But from where they were, because you're going from where they were, not necessarily where they are. 7-2 ranked 17th. I mean, it's nice, but the team that's ranked 16th or the team that's ranked 19th, it's not getting near the hype because it's where they've been, not where they are.
Because Deion Sanders took over a 1-11 team that had been down for a decade.
And he brought some guys in, including his kid. His kid can very well go the number 1 pick. I know Deion's going to make sure he can land them and yada yada and all that stuff. I don't know how that's going to work, but that'll be determined in the spring. I'm not worried about that. But the kid's a player. So the noise for Colorado, the point I'm making, is the noise really that loud in terms of sustaining this? Is it? Are they going to be a decent team? Because 7-2 is a decent team, but it's not like.
Don't confuse it with Georgia the last couple of years.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
The reason why they're talking about them is because of where they've been and who's the coach. The young man's the coach's son. The young man is really good. You have to give it to him. He's really good, and so that I wouldn't worry about the noise. There's nothing really to quiet there.
Done. I always cheer for my Cougars and whoever's playing the Utes. That being said, this one's difficult.
No, it's not.
What's the most you've ever lost in a coin toss? Well, I need to know what we're putting up.
No, it's not. It's not difficult at all. You're first and foremost a Cougar fan. And the Utes, what am I going to do, dance on their grave some more? I already did that. And it's even sweeter to just have them whine about it. They're still whining about it, that call shouldn't have been made. And Klatt was on there talking about it yesterday. That call shouldn't have been made. Because you don't, in minor league baseball, the umpire didn't make that call in the 8th inning because he didn't make it in the first. Well, in the NBA, we're told a foul in the 4th is a foul in the first, and foul in the first is a foul in the 4th. So, and just
we can go back and forth on this forever.
Klatt's argument is super easy to counter because, well, he didn't make that call in the first because that play wasn't made in the first. There was not that level of egregious holding. And I don't even have to break a sweat to argue that one. You can just say, well, yeah, of course it wasn't called because it wasn't that bad at any point until then. If it would have been that bad in the first play of the game, the ref would have called it in the first play of the game. So you can go back and forth on that forever. In the end, it doesn't matter. The result is what it is.
Mike says BYU lost 5 consecutive games last year and it was rough. Utah will most likely surpass that. Whew, that's awful. Unfortunately, it's best for the conference that they extend that streak to 6.
It's best for the conference?
Best for the conference. Mike wants the Big 12
doesn't give a crap.
to have Colorado and BYU go into that Big 12 title game on win streaks. Ranked as high as possible.
Okay, but what's that have anything to do with?
All of Deion's celebrity and BYU undefeated and make a splash.
But what does that have to do with Saturday?
Well, then Colorado to be on a win streak and be ranked as high as possible needs to win their last 3.
What the hell does that have to do with Saturday? I know what it has to do 3 weeks from now, but what does it have to do on the effect of the game Saturday?
It keeps Colorado on a win streak. That's what it has to do.
Well, when the ball's hiked, what does a win streak matter? It's, can I make the play? Can I get the first down? Can I tackle the guy? That has nothing to do with anything.
But who are you rooting for was the question. You're right. It's not going to impact whether a tip ball is caught and picked off or caught and run for a touchdown or whatever crazy thing might happen and entertain us.
Has nothing to do with it either.
Well, I think he's rooting for Utah to lose because it's best for the conference if Colorado wins and goes in undefeated. Is that going to impact who makes a great catch in the end zone? No.
I don't know that it's best for the conference because you want 2 teams in there. And you want your highest ranked team in there. Mm-hmm. So how can I guarantee that's best for the conference? Because BYU will continue, as long as they win, to be ranked higher. And then we've had the guys and we don't know this, but these experts saying, well, if BYU goes undefeated and loses that game, they're out. So you wouldn't have your highest ranked team in there. How's that best for the conference?
BYU and Colorado could be the 2 highest ranked teams.
Right, but there's only one highest ranked. You can have the 10 highest ranked, but there's only one highest. The word highest applies singularly. It doesn't apply to plural. So BYU is the highest ranked team. You want BYU to get in, and so therefore you want their opponent to be as easy as possible so they can get a great number 3 seed, which then not only puts them in, but gives them an opportunity to win and advance to the semifinals. That's what you want. Is this like the easiest argument I've ever made?
No.
Yes.
You made easier arguments.
Right, but I'm talking with you. I realize it's a low standard, but come on. That's not true at all. You want BYU in there. You want them to play Arizona, somebody that they can work so they can get that 3 seed, or Oklahoma State so they have an opportunity. Because in the end, it's going to be like, well, when your league is done and the SEC and Big Ten have the 4 teams in there in the semifinals, that's awful for the Big 12. You're looking at it short-sighted, my friend. And I call you my friend because you people are my friends. You're a little stupid right now. I feel like, what's his face? Who's the Georgia coach again? Yak, help me out here. What's
Kirby
his name?
Smart?
Yeah,
Kirby, yeah,
calling that player an idiot. You people are idiots.
Hey, he apologized.
But
You gonna
right, and
apologize?
Kirby apologized. But on this one, I'm not going to apologize. I'm going to double down. You're not only an idiot, you're stupid. That logic is ridiculous. And obviously, you hadn't thought about that. But that's the far greater scenario and concern for the Big 12 is that they're all about basketball when everybody else is all about football because you got no teams in. What happens the first week of December? Everybody's playing then. So that'll get lost. That buzz that they'll get that day, it won't even last that day because then there's a bunch of games that'll be played after. They play the first game by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The winner of that game, unless it's BYU, will be friggin' forgotten. Come on, guys. Think. Put your thinking caps on. Extend it just a little bit. Push yourself beyond your boundary. Please. I rest my case.
That was incredible.
I rest my case. This is important stuff we're talking about.
Mike is probably not going into work today. He'll probably just sit in West Jordan and think about what he's posted.
Well, you too, because you thought it was a valid point.
It is a valid point, but it was still a great rant from you.
And the rant is far greater than who's playing. I want the opponent, for BYU's sake, if I'm Brett Yormark, to be as easy as possible. Right now,
Boy,
I would want the Sun
that
Devils.
escalated quickly.
I would want
that
the Sun
really
Devils.
got out of hand fast.
Because I think that would be the best chance that they would have if they can skate through undefeated. You want a team that's still playing in the semis. You don't want a 2-conference, or even worse, have a Miami from the ACC, because the ACC is your direct competition. You do not want, under any circumstances, one of the 4 left to be ACC, and you're running your mouth about basketball. Basketball is great, and it's good to have a great conference, but it is leaps and bounds behind football, especially at that time of year. Get to March, that's another story.
Which 7-2 team should BYU want to face in the Big 12 championship game? The poll question is up at Twitter. PK votes Arizona State.
Well, no, on paper,
Colorado, Iowa State,
don't they
K-State.
does that?
That's one to default to right away because of low expectations. I think there's an argument to be made for Iowa State because they appear to be playing their worst football and be at their most vulnerable right now. I got 3 weeks to change that impression. Maybe somebody else messes it up. But if they mess it up, they won't be in the mix.
Rocco Becht. I mean, guys are Rocco Becht.
You know who nobody wants any part of? Is K-State. It's getting like 6% of the vote. Nobody thinks BYU should, well, not nobody, but very few people think BYU should want to face K-State. Don't look at those guys again.
Right. I mean, you beat them good, but all the breaks that you needed to beat them went your way.
Made a bunch of big plays. Could that be replicated? And I think K-State's impressed everybody all year long. So, want no part of those guys. Between ASU, Colorado, and Iowa State, maybe there's a little more doubt.
That's not between.
Yeah. Okay. So,
you can dismiss correct grammar all you want. Be dismissive of correct grammar. That's on you.
I've been dismissing between and among for about 20 years. I'll probably continue to do it.
You can continue to be stupid and sound stupid if you want. You have went.
I have went. I have did. What DJ have did that many listeners have not did?
How you done did.
You have
I've
went
done
to get us some food. Yeah.
I'm the one who dropped Broughton in a show one morning.
That is true.
That's the past tense of brought, people. Bring brand brought Broughton. I think
Travis
we all learned
Broughton?
that. Travis, exactly.
JT Broughton.
Jared, to the original question of the morning. Are BYU fans rooting for the Utes this week. Jared, never! Exclamation point.
You're El Rongo.
If Jared were a movie, he'd be Mel Gibson in Braveheart. Never! Then drawn and quartered.
No.
Freedom!
This is helping you. And then it makes Colorado more vulnerable. The last thing you want is Colorado to go in on a whatever win streak they got
A
going.
heater.
Yeah.
It'd be 6 in a row, I think.
You don't want that.
Daryl says, nobody beats up our little brother but us. Go get him, Utes. Nice.
Now that's good.
Root for them, yet be dismissive. That was well played, right?
Yeah, you really beat him up there, man. You just sent him into oblivion.
Nobody beats us up. Everybody's holding their breath waiting to see where the ball goes on the field goal attempt with 3 seconds left. Matt thinks the Utes are going to have a day. Says Utah should sack Sanders like 8 times. Go get him. A lot of quick throws, hard to get there. Doesn't mean you can't, but hard to get there.
Yeah, but I mean, he'd rather take a sack than have an incompletion, it seems.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Oh, I think why wouldn't there be a chance? Yeah. This is a great test. I'm looking forward to this test. Colorado's offense against Utah's defense.
Jeff says Colorado's O-line was terrible at the beginning of the year, but now they're adequate. That bodes well for Utah. I'm not going to cheer for the Utes, but they might pull off the upset.
Oh, I would want the Utes to win if I'm BYU. There's no downside. All there is upside. What downside is there? In fact, I would want them to get to 6 and be forced to go play in some stupid bowl game instead of having their season over.
Oh, he's looking at the Utah perspective. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Send them off to the Sun Bowl after Christmas.
Yeah, ruin their holiday.
Yeah.
By being, what would they be? What are they right now? What's their record?
Right now, they're
4-5?
4-5.
Yeah. So I guess they can be 7-5, which wouldn't be bad under the circumstances. It's pretty close to what they did last year. But that's best case scenario. The better case, if I'm BYU, is have them go 6-6 and play in the Shreveport Bowl.
Lose the game, go 6-7, have a losing season.
No, at that point, who cares?
Lots of people bailing out of that game.
Yeah, but make them have to go through the dog and pony show of pretending to be happy, because that's what you're supposed to do when you go to a bowl game, rather than
Gonna send our seniors out the right way.
Yeah, I bet you all those guys, if you asked them, if you gave them the truth thing, when at the end of the 12th game, irregardless of the record, do you want this thing to be over, or do you want to take a couple days off and then you got to come back and have? They won't even take the 15 practices, but they're so crucial for the young guys, except nobody ever takes the full allotment.
12's good. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, you'll always watch. Yeah, these practices, they're so crucial for. No, they're not. No, the Colorado and the Devils had 0 practices after the 12th game last year, and both of them are doing fine this year.
7-2, baby.
So that's just a cliche that every coach has to say.
Coaches like to practice.
And the ex-jocks in the media will tell you that because that's what they're supposed to say. But they're not imperative. Not at all. We've seen it a million times over. And that would be right now. I not only can conclude Colorado and ASU, but I can include the first place team that happens to be ranked 6th in the friggin' college football poll, and that's BYU. They had 0 practices after the last game, and they did just fine this year. So, but those guys wouldn't even want the season to continue. They just as soon, let's call it a day, and we'll regroup, come back the first Monday in January, attack it, reload, and away we go. So I would want, if I'm a Cougar fan, I would want them to have to play in a bowl game.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We're talking all things Big 12 with Barry Trammell, sports columnist for the Tulsa World. Who does he think BYU should be hoping to get in Arlington? We'll ask him at the top of the hour right here on The Zone.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G. It's what you